What's up, y'all? Two P's and a bong in the building again. It's your boy DP.
It's your boy KP.
And ducking for shelter, it's your boy Bong. What's going on?
Oh man,
Why you ducking, man?
Man, I'm recording at the house. We're not in the studio today, and boy, or my family members putting me through the ringer.
Okay.
I done sent out a couple of little SOSs like, please, I'm recording, but clearly they don't give a fuck.
Tie a little note to them birds that be chirping outside your window and send it in there to say something to them.
Hey, they didn't got on, man. They didn't got on. I guess they was just visiting for the summer.
Ducking for shade, bobbing and weaving, man. Speaking of bobbing and weaving, I don't know if y'all remember when I said something about the Shakur Stevenson fight. I had briefly touched on it about pause when we were talking about sports and stuff like that. That has been like a dead period, or this is normally where there's a dead period or whatever. But anyway, I think this was like a week ago or a couple weeks ago. And Shakur Stevenson had a fight on ESPN. That's normally where he's been fighting, not necessarily on pay-per-view, but on It Is What It Is, It Is What It Is show, Cam and Mase, they had some, gave their opinion about the fight, said it was boring. A lot of people said the fight was boring, right? It wasn't just them. But Jay Prince, who was the manager of Shakur Stevenson, came back and had some words for Cam and Mase. Before that, Shakur Stevenson kind of went on a little Twitter rant and was excuse me for saying Twitter is X now, right?
Yeah,
went on an X rant. And had some words for Cam and Mase. It was not a little. It was long.
He got ignorant.
Yeah, it was going on and on and on, and he was definitely letting his position be known.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if y'all saw the show, the It Is What It Is show in the segment where they were talking about the fight. And I didn't think it was necessarily anything egregious or like disrespectful. I just, they were just like it was a boring fight. And what folks have been hoping for is that Shakur Stevenson has an explosive performance,
knock somebody
out because then that would put him in a space where he can challenge who he's been calling out for a while now, and that's Tank Davis. But with these types of performances, it's just not a fight that folks will want to see, right?
He's a defensive fighter for sure.
Correct.
And he's an Olympic fighter, right? And the way the Olympic boxers are not a fighter, an Olympic boxer, and the way Olympic boxers are trained, it's to point score.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Like you're fighting to score points. You're not necessarily going for the knockout. Tank Davis is a whole different breed, different monster.
Yeah.
You got footage from him when he was 8, 9, 10 years old, killing, rocking folks to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, it's and styles make fights. So at this point, I'm of the belief that Tank Davis with anybody is going to be exciting because, Tank is I hate that he's so ghetto, and I'm not even trying to get off the Shakur Stevenson thing, but I hate that he's so ghetto that people overlook like what he does in the ring. Like he's a computer. He's like Floyd in there, and it's like he'll spend those first 5, 6 rounds just creating a database, getting intel, seeing what your movements are, and then by the 7th, 8th, 9th round, he's going to work and he's looking for that KO, man.
Yeah, but he'll take more chances like the younger Floyd Mayweather, though.
Yeah, of course.
He'll take more chances and mix it up more so than Money Mayweather did. Money Mayweather was like Shakur fights, but with more offense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was defensive, a great defensive fighter, but he would tag cats too.
He knocked out Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton
with the check hook. So remember, Money Mayweather had the brittle hands too. So
that's been, and that was one of his problems from jump from a long time ago. So he always had some issues with his hands, but he was still throwing them motherfuckers. Like I think I told y'all, like I watched the Shakur fight, and it was almost like ESPN muted the sound in his corner because they didn't want you to hear him kind of going back and forth with his grandfather about, I'm trying to knock him out, or I know you want to knock out, or I can't knock him out because XYZ. You know what I'm saying? So it was.
I watched that
look.
fight too. I went back and watched it, and I understand what Camron and Mase are saying. I do get it. It does kind of lack that pizzazz, and I watched the fight, and then I was like, man, this is kind of slow. And then I went and I was like, man, let me get some highlights of the fight. And even the highlights of the fight, it's 2 hits here, maybe 3 hits here. They're far and few with what's going on. And in that fight, the guy that he beat was bringing the fight to him, was coming towards him and was pressuring him, and he was retreating for the majority of the fight. He still won the fight, but yeah, that's and if you're watching, 2 people fight or box, that's not necessarily what I would want to see. I don't want to see someone retreating the whole time. So I do get that.
What do you want to see?
Man, I want to see some technique. I don't want to see a brawl, but I want to see some technique. But I don't want to see a lot of hugging each other and the soft taps to the back. I don't want to see that, man.
You don't want to see point sparring.
Most people that watch want to see action.
Yeah, motherfuckers want to see the brawl.
It's the reason that Mike Tyson was so famous. It's the reason that Deontay Wilder was so famous. It's the reason that Tank Davis is so famous. Everybody wants to see action. They want to see the punches. They want to see exchanges. And it's, the people that hate Floyd, especially Money Mayweather, that's their biggest knock on him. Floyd sold you. He gave you the action as the build up to the fight, right? He was a great salesman. He was able to get you to buy in, whether you liked it or you didn't like it. He was able to get you to buy in before the fight. And then once the fight actually took place, he was more of a tactician. He was way more careful towards the end of his career. He didn't take as many chances, obviously trying to protect that undefeated record, which he did. But he earned that right, though. You get what I'm saying? I think nowadays a lot of people try and take those shortcuts when they haven't earned the right to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I would say, so you guys asked me, so I'll say this. So Roy Jones Jr. was someone that would bring some action, some technique. He wasn't just, because you guys say brawler, and you mentioned Deontay Wilder. His brawling didn't always look like it had technique to it. He was just strong and will knock your ass out. But like, so someone like Roy Jones Jr., someone like Jermaine Taylor, and Jermaine Taylor's
Roy Jones was actually my favorite boxer of all time. Prime Roy Jones Jr. was a beast.
Before Shane Tarver. Roy Jones before pre-Shane Tarver.
This nigga said Shane Tarver.
What is Sean Tarver? What is it? I can't think of his name.
Antonio. Antonio.
Hey man.
Antonio. Talking about Shane Mosley.
Yeah, my nigga mixing 2 niggas. My nigga that made that made a boxer on fight night. Right, made his own boxer on fight night. Shane Tarver about to whoop your ass. Nigga.
I'm thinking Sean Tarver played for UCLA. My bad. Back in the 80s.
No.
Back in the 80s, early 90s. My bad.
But man, if you're a purist though, you're a boxing purist, you'll respect what Shakur is and represents, you know what I'm saying? The sweet science of boxing and the technical side. Like, he's a defensive fighter, like you said. But let's get into what Jay Prince said really quickly before we move on to the next subject. So this is what he said on it's posted, actually his last post on his IG page as it stands right now. And he says, and I quote, "Let the haters say that he's boring and nobody wants to watch him. Sorry to tell you, it's just a select few of you haters. As you can see, there's proof that he has the #1 ratings in any fight on ESPN this year and the top 3 ratings since 2022. And to all of you haters who want to escalate that hate outside the ring, I'm Shakur's manager and I handle all his business outside of the ring. In other words, Cam and Mase, I will fade all his shots and take all his bets." And then he tagged Shakur Stevenson and the It Is What It Is show. So, man, that's just straight out, directing what you got to say to somebody. So what are y'all thoughts?
My first thought is people don't understand that, like, when you beef with these dudes, like, all you're doing is building their following, right? Anthony Edwards, you jumped in the ring, they have more content and they're trending. Shakur Stevenson, and so Cam and Mase, they'll get on here and they'll say their piece, and they'll, it's obviously the black male bravado, right? That ego kick in. It ain't got more niggas killed than shit, than a lot of things, but
crack,
not
I'm
crack.
about to say, God damn, you.
Yeah,
more niggas in crack. You making a bold statement.
Yeah, because crack is only in the 80s. The male ego's been going on since the beginning of time.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, all right. Good point.
At the end of the day, they're loving it because it's just more engagement for them. It's more viewership, right? Like they're creating a bigger platform every time they get into it with somebody. And what people have to understand is that that's the type of show that it is. They're going to talk about current affairs, the same thing we do. Like, and unfortunately, that comes with some blunt truths and realities. Like, and if it's a boring fight, if you want to go the route that you went with Cam and Mase, go call out everybody that called that shit boring. It's a list of people that were talking about that fight and how boring it was. Like, you calling out Cam and Mase, it makes it seem personal, but it's, it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, don't, and Mase alluded to that. Don't pick and choose who you're gonna go at. If you're gonna be that guy and call people out, call everybody out.
And you're saying he alluded to that in his response?
Mase did. Yeah, okay. Mase did. Mase in his last
on the show.
Like,
on the response on the show.
Don't pick and choose. And Mase said it like, look, I'm not the one you want to go at, because I ain't no easy win. You talking, this is a 59-year-old man talking about taking fades. Like, come on, man.
Hey, they started the show like what was that line? Though. Get out of here, go home, pops. Whatever.
This nigga's 59, man. Like,
said that nigga hit me on the rotary phone.
My man think he Chuck Norris, man. Like, come on, man. Who this dude think he is, man?
Hit me on the pager and the rotary phone.
Like, come on, man.
And then they also, because that Jay Prince has ties to Drake,
right?
And he is somehow affiliated with him, whether it's manager, record label, whatever it is. And they were like, "Hey, you know what? Your boy Drake is in a beef with Kendrick, and we ain't heard you say nothing to Kendrick."
Right. Yeah. And just real quick, most people know him, who Jay Prince is, for his ties to the music industry, right? So Rap A Lot Records, Ghetto Boy, Scarface, UGK, and like Ubang just said, Drake. You know what I'm saying? And some others, but he's also has some management ties. I know with like he done some stuff with Floyd Mayweather before.
Yeah, he's had 15 other boxers.
Yeah, and I think outside of Shakur, I know what's Lamont Peterson's brother's name? I don't want to disrespect him, but he was trying to revamp his career also. So he's got some other boxers. It's not just Shakur. So he's been in the game.
He's done some noble things as well. Like in
This thing
2006,
Kevin about
yeah, man.
the go ahead.
Nah, he did something noble, man. 2006, he had a condom company called Strapped. He started the condom company after one of his friends died from HIV in 2002. So he started that company, and he was trying to educate people on having safe sex. So that's like the man has done some noble things. So I'm not, I don't want to discount all the good that he's done because he jumped out here and did this with Mase and Camron.
Yeah,
I don't think he's.
And real quick, my bad. It's Anthony Peterson is Lamont Peterson's brother. I don't want to disrespect.
I don't necessarily think he's doing anything bad. I think he's trying to protect his investment. But he doesn't. He's just, the way it's coming off is like, again, the black male bravado. Like, so, there's a lot of ego with it. There's a lot of insinuation, a lot of, subtle could be threats, and it always
not subtle. This ain't subtle.
No.
Well, no, it was more subtle because he didn't just straight come out.
Yeah.
I'm taking all fades.
That's not saying I'm shooting niggas that got some, like it's subtle.
Yeah.
It's direct. It's direct,
Yeah.
but it's not like, just blatantly saying you about to murk some niggas.
But you came with this after Shakur Stevenson came with his threats. So that's
True.
why I'm saying there's nothing subtle about that.
And that's one thing that I wanted to say is that you have Cam and Mase with their platform, their show. It's not your ordinary run-of-the-mill sports show. Like, they get on there, they got some entertainment ties, they know a bunch of athletes and stuff like that, but they get on there and they say what the fuck they want to say, and then you have somebody who's trying to strong arm them or influence them to not speak on some shit the way that they want to, and they basically coming back like, nah, man, like, that's not the way this shit about the road. Like, it is what it is. We gonna say what the fuck we want to say, and
and we got the street cachet, we got the background, like, we not some squares that y'all can just get there and punk like Dan Patrick punked
Hey, man, come on, man. My man was smart, man.
That. He punked that nigga.
My man was smart.
Nah,
it was. No. It was a smart business move.
It was.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he did. He didn't want to mess up his future interviews on the Dan Patrick show, like,
or his cachet in the business, or just
he didn't want to Monica McNutted.
Right. Well, it backfired in her favor.
Yeah.
It actually backfired in her favor, so she did well.
Yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, I get it. I understand where they're coming from, and you're not always gonna say some shit that motherfuckers agree with. But again, like you said, KP, like, not, or Ubang, I think you said this. Not everybody, they ain't the only ones who said this shit, and you ain't directed. You need to add a whole list.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'd rather see you at Stephen A. Smith. That's an even fight.
Hey, because he be talking that shit. So yeah,
absolutely.
But okay.